Hi, I'm Miranda with Righteous Reviews, and today I'm here with.
I am Isaiah, otherwise known as Much More.
So, you have such a unique voice within the Christian indie space. What inspires your sound?
Gosh, so many artists. Man, I feel like I am just an amalgamation of all my favorite artists, all my favorite songwriters. So, yeah, there's a lot of music that I was impacted from high school to college, a lot of hip hop, a lot of rap, and then a lot of worship and gospel growing up as well. So, I just feel like I'm 28 now, so it's just 28 years of music influence that has bombarded my brain, and there's some things that I take hold of and apply it to my own music. So yeah, I can give you a few names. Like there's this guy named Healy. There's an artist named Dominic Fike. Brockhampton was a big influence on me in college. Um, Felly. And then yeah, of course, I had influence from some Christian artists like POD growing up, and Lecrae and uh, Montel Fish. So there's a lot of influences from a lot of different places, and I'm still looking for influences to this day. Role model's a big one currently. So yeah, I get it from everywhere, and hopefully you can hear that their influences sprinkled throughout different songs and different projects.
Yeah. So, the title of your upcoming record is Born Again Again. What does this album title mean to you?
First of all, I just think it's a really dope title. I don't think and obviously I made sure there's no other albums in the world with that title. And I think that's correct. I think there's nothing else out there with that title. So I definitely like being original, and I like being the first to do something. And yeah, born again is just a very common phrase in the Christian world, and the Bible. It's a very important phrase. And I just wanted to put a twist on it. I wanted to turn it into sort of a prodigal son meaning. So born again, obviously we know what that means, like when you first give your life to Jesus and you're born again by the Spirit. And born again is my way of saying that, like, there are many times in our lives where after we've been born again where we have to repent, right? We have to turn continuously back to the Lord. And so that's just a practice of repentance. And um like, yeah, I think that we have ebbs and flows, and there's seasons that I go through where I stray a little bit and I need to come back, and I need to I'm like the prodigal son every day, I feel like. So that's just another a twist on born again, and sort of transforming that into sort of like a prodigal son story. Uh so yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So, your latest single, False Idols, did 50K streams in its first week. With this sort of early encouragement, how are you feeling about your album's release?
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, yeah, that's the most streams I've ever received in the first week. And I'm not gonna lie and say I don't look at numbers. I look at numbers a lot, and especially as a small artist, and we're still growing. So I pay attention to each release and what it does, usually in the first week. It gives me a good gauge of how it's being received, and uh how many people are sort of paying attention to when I release music. There's so much music being released these days, and so I'm just really encouraged to see that it it uh it caught on and people listen when I release stuff, and it's really encouraging. I'm super excited to get the next one out after I see that. I just want to keep on growing and keep on topping each release. So that's gonna be a tough one to top. Yeah, 50,000 streams in the first week across both platforms is incredible, and I definitely have to thank my new team that I'm working with. They're called Another Land, and I'm sure you'll get to that in the future. But yeah, it's a new label I've been working with, and they've been really helpful with my releases.
So, False Idols is based on idol worship in the Old Testament. Is the Bible your main inspiration when writing music, and what does the lyric creation process look like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd say that previously, so I've been releasing music under Much More for about 4 years now. And I would say that these last couple of years, the Bible has been most influential in my songwriting, and that's just because I've been reading it more. I have yet to, up until the last couple of years, I've yet to really solidify like a devotional life for myself. And so, yeah, last year was the first time where I read through the entire Bible, start to finish, and I'm doing it again this year. But just this album was just a natural byproduct of that, I think, like just being in the scriptures more. Um, the songs that came to my head and the melodies that sort of began to form were coupled with lyrics that just happened to be very biblical and part of that is intentional. I think with this whole album, I think it's the most worshipful project that I've put out to date. I think a lot of the stuff I make is very testimonial and like a journal. I'm just kind of expressing how I feel in the context of faith and being a Christian. So this album, I really wanted to transition to making songs that are a bit more upward, a bit more praise and worship. And of course, there's always gonna be that fusion of myself and how I feel going through these things. But I'm really proud of this project because I think it is my most worshipful one, and that's a byproduct of, I think, trying to live a more worshipful life. And reading the Bible is part of that. So, yeah, that's kind of where the imagery comes from.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm reading the Bible like full for the year for the first
Oh,
time.
that's
So,
awesome. That's amazing. Wait, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Oh my gosh. See, you got me beat. See, you're way ahead of the game. Like I didn't read the Bible fully through until I was 27. So, but I grew up in the church and I feel like I've read the whole Bible at some point, just like just through all the sermons I've listened to and uh but never in just start to finish.
Yeah,
So so it was really cool. I'm sure you're experiencing it. It's really helpful.
for sure.
Yeah.
So you've released albums in the past. However, this is your first album working with a record label. How has
Yeah.
this experience been, and what have you done differently this time around?
Yeah, I think it's really helpful to have other people just you can bounce ideas off of. Like you said before, I've released two albums in the last 2 years, so both of those things I've kind of tackled on my own in terms of trying to market it and really forming an identity around what each album means. And I think I'm lacking in that department. I think I realized that. So this album, I've gotten some help. I've signed with a label called Another Land, and they're helping me with my releases and distributing to uh, different platforms like Apple uh, and Amazon and YouTube. All these different things they're helping me out with, but they've also done a good job of coming around me and really asking me the right questions and giving me some advice on how I can best market this and create uh, the best release around this music. So that is a very different thing. I think I'm always really intentional about what I want to do and how I want it to feel and what I want it to look like. So I think I have that down, but it's just about communicating that to the world, and that's where I can grow. And yeah, they've been really helpful in that department. But I'd say that's the main difference, just having more ideas and people to bounce off of.
So this album is much longer than your previous releases. How does this LP compare to projects you put out in the past?
Yeah, it is. It's technically in terms of songs, it's definitely longer. There's 14 of them. And I think in the past, I think my other albums were like 10 and 7. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was just busy. I think I was just really busy. And last year was when, I finished most of these songs last year and it was a different season in my life. The past 3 years when making music, I was also working another job. So I would fit studio time between my job and relationships and friendships and family and all that. And it was really difficult. And so this last year, I left my job and that opened up a whole lot of time. So I was really intentional about spending last year just making music. And, by God's grace, there's a lot of ideas that came to mind and songs that came to mind. And I had way more time to make way more music. So I just had more time, and I spent last year making two albums, and one of them was already out, and then this is the other one with Taylor. So just a it's just a product of more time, honestly. Like if I had more time, I would and resources, and uh, I would try and make a song like every day if I could.
So the first single of this project was titled 1 Second, and it was re
Hmm.
released alongside a music video. Do you see any more music videos coming up in the future?
Uh, if I need a crowd fund, I need a I need some help. No, nothing is inexpensive in music. Everything costs money. Everything is so expensive. And so that's the great part of working a job. I was able to save a lot of money and to fund a lot of my artistic projects. And now I'm just living off of music. So everything I make is usually going back to it. And music videos are very expensive. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make another one. I would love to, because I think music videos are great to attach to a song. Uh, but from my budget, I don't know if I'll have enough to make another music video. I will continue to make, visual content and, put some Instagram reels and TikToks out that are of higher quality with this album. So I'll keep doing that, but music videos are just so they're so niche, I think. I just feel like people don't really care that much about music videos anymore, if I'm being honest. So I personally love them and I'd love to do it again, especially working with my buddy Jamin. He's super talented. So I'd be open to making another music video with him, but probably a little bit down the line, probably after the album.
Okay. Could you share a little bit more about your journey as a Christian musician? Specifically, how did you come to life with Christ, and when did you decide to pursue a career in Christian music?
Yeah, music's been a relatively new thing in my life. I guess not anymore. I didn't start songwriting until I was 18, as I was a freshman in college. And before that, my life and identity was really around sports and yeah, just being good at those. And but when I turned 18 and I went to college, I wasn't playing sports anymore, so I had a little bit of an identity crisis and I wasn't sure what I was good at, wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing, and songwriting was something that came to I used songwriting to cope with with that crisis. And funny enough, that's kind of what I turn to time and time again. And, through meeting people and with shared interests, we started to record and make music, and I began to write more. And it's been 10 years. So it's been 10 years of songwriting and making music. And that's pretty wild. I just realized that. So yeah, it's a relatively new thing, but I've been doing it for 10 years now. And um, I've been working on music professionally, technically, I guess, for years, since this is what I'm now relying on to pay for my life. But I think I've been recording music for longer than that. I've been recording music for about 7 years. And then as I stated before, much more started in 2020, 2021. So I've been doing much more for 4 years. And yeah, it's just been a really slow burn and a journey of meeting people and producers and just putting stuff out when I can.
So, kind of like going off what you just said, last May you quit your job to pursue music full time. Now that
Uh,
it's officially been a year since taking this leap of faith, how has God blessed you during this period and what have you learned?
Man, yeah, I think it's been a real blessing. It's just been an awesome time for me to get back to the basics and to really establish a foundation for my life and learn what is essential for myself. And yeah, just this time has given me the opportunity to really um, do the things that I feel the Lord is calling me to do. And that's just like really basic, having a devotional life, being a part of a church, starting to serve at a church. And then yeah, like I said, with so much time, I was able to make so much more music, and he's really blessed me in that way. And after my last album, Pupils, I got connected with another land. So I got connected with a label too. So it's been awesome, and it's been two albums connected with the label, and now I'm rolling out that second album, and I'm really confident, and I believe it's the best thing I've made. And yeah, the Lord's just blessed me in so many ways. I think he's also taught me just perseverance, I think. Really believing that the Lord spoke and continuing to move it in that direction, even though it doesn't seem like it's growing enough, or you might wrestle with doubt on a day-to-day basis. But thinking back on the word that he's given, which I believe was from the Lord to quit my job in this season and just to keep pushing forward in that direction until I hear otherwise. So that's recent that the Lord's been teaching me, is just to keep moving in that direction, based on where he last spoke, you know. So we're still going, and we'll see how long we can take this.
So, last question, could you share your testimony?
Yeah,
Kind of a
that's
loaded one, right?
yeah. I think, a lot of I've gotten a lot of DMs or messages alluding to that, and I've always waited for, I don't know, the right platform. I feel like I give a lot away in my music.
Mhm.
I think uh maybe some people will, understand or catch it or don't, but yeah, man, I can give a testimony. I never really um thought about it a lot. I grew up in the church, born and raised in the church, and yeah, I think I was a pretty good kid growing up, and pretty straight edge. I never really drank or smoked or partied, and not saying, I think if I have, I think I just gave myself too much credit growing up. I thought I was a pretty good kid, and I didn't really understand God's grace, because I didn't think I needed it that much for myself, based off of my exterior and based off of what I didn't do. And so growing up and maturing, and I think I hit a season in college where I just kind of backslid, quote unquote, and I fell into some things that I didn't think I'd ever do, and I realized that I need God, and I need His grace a lot. And I realized that I needed His grace just as much back then when I was a straight edge kid as I did in my current season of backsliding. So that's kind of my testimony. Is It's that maturing is just realizing that I'm in need of God's grace, and just as much as the next person. It doesn't matter what my life looks like on the outside, but it's about a heart surrendered for the Lord, and a right perspective and view of who you are and who God is. And so that's life, man. And I feel like I'm still just learning to live that out every single day. It's always coming back to that reality.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for asking.
I saw you posting about it and I was like, I feel like I should ask, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty broad version. Of course, we can get into more specifics, but I'm sure I'll share more specific things along the line.
Yeah, of course. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for meeting with me. Have a great day.
All right. Appreciate you, Miranda. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Okay.